Hello everyone! So I know it's been a while since I did my last video blog, but I've been busy as well as kind of lazy. So I'm going to try to do one every Sunday from now on, and hopefully I'll be able to keep up with that, so I'll have lots of video blogs for you guys to watch. So lately I have been doing lots of teaching, but a few weekends ago I got the opportunity to go out on the land and do some ice fishing. So this video includes some ice fishing, some sculpting, and other cultural activities I have been able to partake in, so hope you enjoy. Before I continue, I'd just like to clarify that I am well aware that penguins do not live up here. They live in the South Pole, so I will not be seeing any of them on my journey. In order to get where we were going to go ice fishing, we had to head out in snowmobiles, but since there wasn't enough snowmobiles for everyone to ride on one, some of us were pulled behind the snowmobile in a kumatik, which basically looks like Santa's sleigh. And here's a video of our wild ride on the kumatik. To say it was a bumpy ride would be the world's biggest understatement.
What do you think of the kumatik ride, Danica? It's scary. We're gonna smash. I won't drop it.
I forgot to mention earlier that my dad was up for a week for his March break, so he's the third person you see in that video, and he was able to come ice fishing with us, and we had a grand old day out on the land. After about a half-hour kumatik ride, we finally got to the location where we were going to ice fish. They already had the holes pre-dug out, kind of. They had just frozen over a bit, so you had to get an ice chipper and chip away at the ice in order to get down to the water. However, when you're using the ice chip, you got to make sure not to let go of it so that it sinks to the bottom. This was an instruction my mom failed to listen to, so she was chipping away and let go of the ice chipper, and it fell to the bottom of the ocean, and we never got it back. Here you can see some of the Inuit people who took us out using the ice chipper to chip away at the frozen ice to get to the water.
I'm sorry, Sarah.
You can do the event.
Okay.
The wind does so much for your temperature. Like my hands were freezing before, now they're...
It's not even that cold, but once you're on the
Once you're on the ski.
yeah.
Okay.
After you chip away at the top layer of ice, you use a scooper that kind of looks like a spaghetti strainer, and you scoop out the ice so that it doesn't freeze over quickly, and you'll be able to pull up your fish when you hopefully catch one. Here in this next video, you can see them using the strainer to pull off the top layer of ice. After we had been told how to make the holes, me and my dad went on to try to make our own hole. The only thing is when you're walking on the snow, you got to be careful because your feet will drop down a foot or two and your leg will be stuck in the snow. In this video, you can see that I stumble a little, but me and my dad were successfully able to chip out our own hole.
This one? I don't know. Where's the other one?
Okay, got it.
Don't what?
Don't drop it.
Drop it.
I don't like it.
After we got our hole ready, we were ready to throw on our line and attempt to fish. The way they do it is they use a stick and it's attached to a rope, and you just stick it in the water, and then hopefully you feel a tug, and then you pull it up. It's called jigging, and we weren't very good at it because we did not get to eat fish dinner. When you're jigging, you want to pull slightly on the line so that the bait kind of dances in the water and the fish is attracted to it and bites it. After we had tried fishing for a while, we decided to hike out to Mount Pelly, which is the only mountain they have here, but in Ontario would probably be considered a very large hill. However, the mountain gives you this messed up perception of depth because I thought it would only take us about 20 minutes to get there, and after 45 minutes of walking, we were only about halfway and had to turn back.
It does. Seems like we're just gonna walk forever and never reach it.
And walk forever we did. After ice fishing, we came back. I had a bit of frostbite on my cheek because I was dumb and didn't keep my head buried in my hood the entire time snowmobiling. Other things we've done up here have included sculpting. In this next video, you'll hear a man talk about his sculptures and how he first learned to sculpt from his father.
I started carving beside my old man at the age of 8 years old. He would take off pieces and I would grab the pieces and then just make something out of them. First thing he would start off is, here, make a duck, like swimming, and that was just a thing like that, eh? So you know the shape is easy to make. For a first time carver, single pieces work out good, a little easier to do. There's nice big chunks here that you could do a multiple piece carvings in them, but for beginners you want to start with a simple object that you can work with. When you get into double pieces, more objects into one, it's a little more harder to carve than a single piece. All that, putting more objects into one, that's when you can a little more perfected the art of carving. But I'm going to work with you guys for 3 days and hopefully we can start with something, and at the end of the 3 days you have your finished product of what you're trying to carve there.
Let's hope so.
That's what I'm going to work towards anyways for the next 3 days.
So I wish at the end of the 3 days I could have said I made a cool sculpture like this. This is one we actually bought off a local here. However, our sculptures, as you have probably seen on Facebook, didn't turn out as good. Here are some of the other sculptures we've also bought off some locals. This is a drum dancer. First one I showed you was a polar bear. And then this is the one we had specially made for me and my mom, and it is 2 people ice fishing together. And in this sculpture, the stone is made out of soapstone. The rock on the bottom is made out of alabaster stone. And these parts up here are made out of baleen, which is the part of the whale in the gills of the whale.
You have the hacksaw, metal. You can cut metal or anything with this blade. This is the best that works for anything with stone. You have different kinds of brass. These are called brass files. As you can see, they have rough grid, fine grid.
As you can see in these next videos, a lot of work goes into making these sculptures. So some people may consider them to be very expensive, but when you've seen the amount of work that goes into them, they actually are quite a good price. And here's us attempting to use hacksaws. I was not the greatest, but I was able to get some form of a wolf by the end of it. Besides ice fishing and sculpting, I've also had the opportunity to learn how to sew rabbit fur mitts. So once a week we go to the visitor center and a group of girls sew rabbit fur mitts all together. And mine aren't done yet, but they are coming along.
Oh, what kind of thread were they using? The new? Yeah. I can lower and you could take down the blue.
Okay, what are you making, Danica?
Making
What are you making?
a mitt out of rabbit.
What's the word? Fowlet. Fowlet.
Yes, there's mine.
What you can do with the extra hair. Looks like a beard. We should have taken a picture. Take a picture. Yeah, I'll fix it.
Right there, huh? Yeah. So I go to the bottom?
So I've had lots of cultural things to do up here to keep myself busy, and it's been very enjoyable for me. Our days are slowly getting longer. We are now having 12 hours of daylight. The sun is rising at approximately 7 o'clock and setting at around 7. So it's starting to get longer. It'll be in June it'll be 24-hour daylight, and that's when things will start to get real weird. So that concludes this week's video, and I'll see you all next week.